you dip your liquid first, wipe it on the edge of the liquid dapping dish, and then you could start on one side and you could drag it across and pick up your ball that way, and then place it on your paper. So try both of them. What you're not going to want to do is dip it in your liquid and then wipe it in this glass. The minute you start doing that, then you're going to start getting acrylic on the outside of the glass, and it'll start to look like this. And you guys can see it after we're done. But it's got like a little piece of acrylic on the inside, and that's going to get in your way every time you start working. So what you would do is you're going to, at the end of the day, you're going to take one of these metal pushers and you're going to try to pry this hardened acrylic ball out of it. And if you can't get it out, now you have to pour some acetone in here. Okay? We're not going to clean our brushes with this. This is not a brush cleaner. This is our acrylic monomer. This is our polymer. Remember, the P is powder, so that's the polymer, and this is the monomer. So we're mixing the two of them together. So you're going to want to make sure you get this out before the next day comes around. Okay? So a little acetone in there. While the acetone is in there, run your brush in there and make sure there's no acrylic built up inside your brush. Wipe it off. You're always going to want to, whenever you can, try to keep your brush straight. If your brush is wet, don't put it back in here, because what ends up happening is the fumes from the brush will start to melt the plastic. Just the fumes, okay? So you got to be really careful with that when you're cleaning up. The best thing to do is to just lay it in your station so that it stays flat, because the minute your brush gets bent or hardens, then you're going to have a brush full of product. You can put it in acetone. If you do get a hardened piece of acrylic in it and you soak it in acetone for a few minutes, then you're going to take another metal pusher and you're going to try to go like this through your brush to get rid of the acrylic ball that's built up in your brush. And then once you start doing that, then you start ripping the brush hairs, and then you start creating a problem. So always try to clean your brush before you put it away. Okay? Cleaning up. We don't ever want to put the liquid back into the container, because now we're going to contaminate our big liquid if this is contaminated. So please try to work right to the very end. I hate to see you throw away this much liquid. And we just talked about how expensive this is, okay? What you can do is tap this out. If you find that you have any clumps of acrylic that might have fallen off of your brush because you had it a little bit too wet, fish those out, okay? And then pour this into the used container. Not back into these. We don't want to contaminate these, but pour it back into the used container. All right? Then we're done. Any acrylic that you have left over, so let me just kind of do this. Any a liquid that you have left over goes on the paper towels, okay? You can't put any of this acrylic down the sink, none of them, okay? Pardon me?
It'll burn through the pipes.
Well, sometimes what it'll do is it'll harden. Like if you put the powder and the liquid down there, it could potentially harden and create an acrylic ball in the sink, like in the drain, and that wouldn't be good either. This will take the finish off of the sinks. If you've noticed, there's some sinks that look gray in the center. That's just because acetone has been poured down there and it took the finish off. So same thing, that's what this will do. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna have one garbage can back here. Everything goes in that garbage can. And at the end of the class, we're gonna take that garbage can and we're gonna tie it off and because the smells, it's not too bad when one person's using it, but when 6 or 8 of you are doing it, the smell really gets strong. Like people will walk in and it's like, oh my God, did you smell the acrylic?
What else do you smell?
And there's one of us doing it. So that's how we need to make sure that we're kind of getting rid of it. Now, when you look at my paperwork here, you can see how this one kind of looks okay, but these look really flat. What we're trying to do is to create balls that don't flatten out automatically. okay? So when you're doing it, you're gonna wanna make sure that the balls sit up a little bit for a few seconds and then start to flatten. And you guys will get sheets like this, and it will help us, like this one, I like this one because it tells you to dip, you wipe, you drag it across, you place it, you lift it up, and then you pat it, and it gives you the step-by-step on how to do this. We're not gonna get to this until I can start to see that you've done this. So you might get this whole page done, and they still don't look right. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna pop them all off. These come right off. Okay, once they're hardened, they come off even easier. These look like little contacts, but these will just come right off, and then you can try them all over again. Okay, so I told Miss Thomas, you guys might spend a day just making some different size balls, making sure that you can get that consistency. Because if you can't get the consistency correct, the minute you start putting them on these sheets, you know, because we have a bunch of different sheets that we're going to practice on before we get to the dowels. Then we'll get to the dowels, we'll put the forms on, and we'll start building them. After that, then we will go to the practice hand and we'll apply them on a practice hand.